total raised for the rescue, that was $10,000.
How did you figure this out?
So, a good friend of mine has worked in nonprofits for most of her career. And if you're going to do this and you don't even know exactly what the costs are yet for the equipment, you're going to need some sponsors to make it a really nice event. And I was like, what do you mean sponsors? I was like, I want to barf rather than ask people for thousands of dollars, right? Then she made me have a call with her brother-in-law who does fundraising for Maryland lacrosse. And he started asking me about, what is this work? What do you mean healing with horses and blah, blah. And once I started, he goes, you see, all of this information. He's like, everything. And now I'm excited about coming to your event. And so that's what you do. You talk about the whole reason why you love this film and the whole thing that you want people to know about. And then they get behind it. And I was like, okay. So the first stab at it, like there were a couple of things that did not go well. And that was assuming that we needed to go to horse industry companies and local businesses that were like tack stores or feed stores or whatever and do those and that they would be all in because they weren't. And they were kind of like, yeah, everybody asks us for money and sponsorships. And I think I turned a corner when I just started calling people that I knew who were, they had businesses that they knew fundraisers, like they knew donations, they knew kind of this nonprofit world in the community. And I called them to ask them for suggestions to say, like, hey, who do you think would be interested? Because we've got the wellness side and we've got the horse side. And so who do you think? And they would inevitably say, oh, I'm interested, right? Like,
Oh.
what levels of sponsorship do you have? And thank goodness my friend had told me about these like tiers of sponsorship. So I was like, oh, well, we have the endurance level and blah, blah, blah. And then so it was just that's kind of how it worked. And I was like, oh, so X off my brain this whole idea that I need to have a presentation and that I'm just going to reach out to people who I know, who I've worked with in some capacity, either personally or through my business, and just start talking to them about what ideas they have, how are they interested in getting involved? And that would be my first question. And then I'd say, great, because we've got sponsorships, we need people like you, we need companies like you. And so it really worked amazingly well. I couldn't believe it. They were just so generous. Like almost 50% of the sponsors couldn't even come. And they want to know when is the full film coming. That's sort of the magic of it was learning that you don't have to be a professional fundraiser. You don't have to follow a script. You just have to keep reaching out. And that's another big thing I would say for getting the attendance as well as sponsorships. There was a lot of personally reaching out. So I have Excel spreadsheets of the dates that I first like texted someone who came into my mind and what their response was and when I had to text them back and how I texted them back. Anybody who, I would always thank them, whether that they just gave a donation or if they became a sponsor, I did a handwritten note on like my own personal like horse stationery that I have of my own horses.
Wow. I mean, there's so much here in what you're sharing. It's really actually inspiring for me too, because well, we have a mentor who's worked with us on our last film and then this film. And he says, if you want money, ask for advice.
Ah!
And you did it. And the truth is, I sort of forgot about the value of that. Like Dana and I remind each other of those words, but you embodied it. And then by sharing from your heart, which I think we minimize the power of the heart. Like even I was giving you sort of counsel and you were like, yeah, but my heart is feeling something different. That I think is what's most profound because, our film was only created by being led by the heart.
So the day that I launched the web page, the landing page that was linked up to Zephy to start selling tickets, was the day that one of my good friends died. And she was the person who had a horse rescue in Danville, California, where I got one of my original horses for my group that we started this work doing. Ultimately, she had to close the rescue, but it wasn't long after that she passed away, which it was a very big surprise. And it suddenly gave me an extra sort of boost of like I'm doing something for a rescue. It might not be my own rescue, but that doesn't matter. And Melissa wouldn't care, right? So, she's like, I'm sure she was all about it, right? I'm sure she saw, and I'm sure she's proud because
Mm.
that helped a lot.
Wow, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And also,
Well,
what a beautiful way to honor that relationship.
yeah. Yeah. Um, anyway, it definitely came together as that two-part why. And since then, it has become honestly like I think a big part of what I'm gonna do now with, I don't know, the rest of my life. It's something that some of the sponsors and I had a meeting last week, and they are wanting to do an annual event. And the whole idea of bringing back the full film, if that timing works out to be the best, way to do it, and to make it a benefit for even its horses, its wellness, and its sustainability in the land.
Whoa, I love how you like see how it is all connected. And truly that's probably even part of why there was so much energy around this event because you're seeing the bigger picture. It's not just like, well, this is the work I'm doing and how am I going to get more clients and maybe that was part of your motivation. I am curious, but it seems like you were thinking more expansively. This is how you're creating like a movement and energy within your own community and gathering people, like building bridges in ways that
Mm.
maybe people weren't previously connected.
In the beginning, it wasn't necessarily a motivation as much as I felt, hey, I really want to do this, and I'd much rather spend money and time on this than marketing because marketing hasn't traditionally worked for my business. And I've tried and I've spent money on marketing and it just doesn't happen. Like it's not the way that I get clients. So I thought, well, yeah, I'm out there and people will know me as a resource here. And so maybe I'll at least get one or two people from this as opposed to trying to put ad up somewhere or whatever, right? Like, so but it was such a kind of in a way, I look back, it was almost like a justification. I told you I was a sponsor and I was a host and I did that. And I was like, I was always planning to do that. And just because I had a lot more sponsors didn't mean that I still wasn't going to do that, right? So
Mm.
that was like that was my original thing. So whatever else came along after that, I was like, this is just some icing on the cake, like
Okay,
exactly.
let's talk about the numbers then, because I'm sure, as we share this, people are going to really want to know, like, what were the tangible results? And also, I'm curious, if you don't mind sharing, what was your final like AV bill? Do you
Final
know?
AV, yeah, I do. The audio visual equipment came out to $3,600. I did end up having it catered. I did not want people to just be having like peanuts and beer and being there for the whole night, so we did do the catering was $1,000 total raised for the rescue after their expenses were all taken out, because a lot of it was paid through them. That was $10,000. On Zephy, which is such a great platform, there is the option to donate additional money with
Right.
with your ticket purchase. And a lot of people did that. Way more than just whatever it was for the tickets. A lot of money was raised there. And some people who wanted to sponsor and felt like they couldn't afford to sponsor because my lowest level was $500, like they would donate $250 or $300 and say, this is what I can afford. And I was like, that's amazing. Thank you.
So it's just so powerful, I think, to plant these seeds of possibility because obviously, you had various challenges in figuring out like how's this going to work and is it going to work? And I don't like asking people for money. And then as it was reframed, there's this massive energy as people are feeling that energy of the heart and intention and building community and then of course benefiting a group that I'm sure that $10,000 is a big deal to that rescue.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What was the feedback that you heard from people?
They would share with me their response of almost like what their action item was. Another woman really said, she said something along the lines of, you know, I was supposed to go on a trip and I was supposed to leave this morning and I didn't leave. And I'm so glad I didn't leave. And now I understand why. And it turns out that her daughter needs needs treatment. So she's looking for a place for her to go to rehab. And she wanted to know if I knew any place that has horses and equine therapy and things like that. So the it was really a lot of sincere feedback of how it touched people and motivated people in different ways. The owner of the farm, he wrote me the next morning and he just said, that was amazing and fantastic. And I feel like it spoke to every single person in that audience. He knew how diverse it was, all kind of walks of life.
Man, you sparked something really big in what you were sharing, and it's so cool because I think it sounds like people's hearts felt held in that space, even with the intention that you gave it, and even with the mission and the energy that you gave it. So
Appreciated it so much that you're saying that, but I feel like I didn't even know I had it, right? I didn't know I had that. I didn't know this was like my mission, right? Until I saw your film. Not a, seasoned professional in this. I am just someone who, does have a little bit of a background on embodiment, for sure, but definitely this was new. And I think it's great because even when we are practiced at something, to have to go through it again ourselves, like solidifies a piece of it. And this is going back to your point about, hey, all of this starting with looking at ourselves, right? That's what I had to do. And I had to be really honest with myself of where I was scared. Like, okay, you're scared. You're really scared. You do not want to pick up the phone and do this. And now you've scheduled a call and now you're shaking before your call. So what are you going to do to center yourself before you actually say hello? And those are the things, like, you have to go back to the basics. You've got to go back and say, this is what's in me. I'm going to be honest about it. And I know how that I'm going to shift that. I know how I'm going to be in a space of just openness. And if I don't say what I think I was going to say, it's okay.
But I think that's the magic of what you're doing because when you let the heart lead, like I think so many of us are we're looking for people who are too rehearsed, who have an ask, who are, not as genuine because then it's like our easy out. Like, no, I'm definitely not going to be part of that. But you have that level of embodiment, and I even feel in your energy, it's sort of this disarming embodiment. That's like, well, wow, she's so gentle and soft, and then I really feel what she's saying. And I think there's something so powerful to that because even with our film, it was the same thing. Like we didn't reach out to people cold. It was sort of just sharing our heart with people we knew. And some of the biggest funders of the film were people we knew, like a couple of our friends even. And we didn't ask them for a dime. We just were sharing about what we were doing. We were talking about, the fundraiser we were doing and how exciting it was. We would ask for their advice. How do you think we should navigate this? And then we had a friend who was like, oh, well, you should do a matching grant. And actually, I want to fund that. What? She's not even a horse person. And we were like, oh my God. And then we had another friend who was like, well, I'd like to give you this huge donation in honor of my dad. And so we put her name at the end, special thanks, and put in honor for Dad's name. And yeah, I think there is something about just like being in the heart and sharing because I think we all want to be about something bigger than us. And, in my mind, it's like, wait, why would a sponsor want to be part of something when it's only 100 people? Right? Like you could tell yourself that, and then you're automatically not gonna get any sponsors. But somehow you saw the bigger energy about that, And then people
Yeah.
are feeling it. And then it's not about 100 people in the room. It's about like, there's something happening here that's part of a movement that's building bridges and, creating some kind of community. I'm guessing. I don't know. That's what it
Yeah.
feels like.
Yeah. I never even thought about that there was a limited number of people in the room, right? Because I was only thinking about like, hey, these are the things that we want in our world. So, but that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And those are the moments where people, as people, when we're trying to improve and we're trying to be able to be the thing, right? Be the thing that we want. And we have to be honest, like, oh yeah, I've got that limiting thought that is controlling me right now. So let me just say, okay, what else is there? What else is there besides that? That's a concern that I have. There's something else that's bigger and more important and more open and more expansive, and I'm going to get to it.
This is so powerful. And what you've shared has even been like an important anchoring for me. And it's kind of a nudge in and thinking about things more expansively and seeing the bigger picture. And yeah, we all could use more of that. So
Oh, well, thank
thank you
you. I
for
mean,
that.
you've been phenomenal. Like every time I talk to you, I always am so excited and feel like, wow, okay, yeah, we're on. We're doing cool stuff. And I just, you're such a wonderful ally and you're also an anchor for me. And I just feel like this is so cool. And the word intertwined and interconnected, keep coming up over and over again. And it's just so true. It's just so real. And so you can't help but think that it's magical, but yet it's so real.